Are you okay, man?
Yeah, I was don't want to be this person anymore.
I was inspired in the sense that when I started making short films, when I was still at drama school, I didn't really care about the apparatus of filmmaking, and that was around, the dogma thing was still very much in the air, and so there was something about the way they liberated kind of cinema and that thing of going, you can shoot it on whatever, you can, just have the actors and a camera, don't worry about big sets, big lights, which I found really, really liberating. But as far as the rules of the actual film, it probably owes more to like early Cassavetes films and like Shadows particularly, where he had this thing where he talked about like knots, where the film was created through knots. So you'd have these pieces and then you'd put them together and they'd create something new and then you'd keep merging them. So probably that was a bigger influence. Because my rules aren't like the Dogma 95 rules for this film. They're quite different. There's music in there's all kinds of stuff that's not the same. But the idea of making a film in a certain way is definitely owes a lot to Dogma 95 for sure.
Believe me! My father is an orange Nazi!
Who told you were funny?
Not you.
I'm being supportive. I'm talking to you.
I'd finished the army in Israel, and it was a hard time, and I needed to get out, and I knew I wanted to direct, but I'd kind of given up on making films because, like I said, I found film sets very stressful. I still do. A lot of people in shorts with things hanging off their belts, jangling, and pipes and lights, and it was all just too much. So I just decided I would become a theatre director. And I applied to go to a drama school in London for a directing course, and I thought I would just do theatre. It's nice, drink lots of tea, chat, people move around, as theatre directors weren't like that. But anyway, something like that. And then, but I couldn't help it because I love cinema so much. And there was a camera at the school, and I just thought, the hell with it, let's just make a film. And so we made one, and then we made another, and then, I don't know, people liked them, and it just kept going. So, but what inspired me is deeply personal and, and not appropriate for this conversation. I just needed to go and do something else for a while.
Yeah, I was a bit jealous.
Of what? You're really indulgent. You're really like self-obsessed. You haven't really thought about anybody else.
Are you two together?
When you do something like this, it was really wacky, but I had characters and I had themes and I had the bones of a story, and I cast according to that. So a decision was already made to write certain elements and not write others, and then to ask certain people to play those roles and not others. I met hundreds of people, and so once I made that decision, then I handed the ball to them, and they had to choose like a word or a moment or something that they really could latch onto. And then we came to the rehearsal room, and the guys would find something autobiographical from their own life that related to those themes. And then we'd put other actors in with them, and so real life and fiction would sort of start whirling and whirling around. And the idea was that it would just kind of build and build and build. By the end, there would be something that was completely fictitious, but that was grounded in something that was very, very autobiographical and hopefully meaningful and real.
I just want to have something real, Ed. I really do.
When you meet people that haven't gone through the same kind of experiences, they haven't really had much life experience.
I think the film is certainly about how do you construct a life. When the world around you is built on never having anything solid because it's not good, because financial systems need to be dynamic, and our identities are constantly changing because we're constantly kind of told to reinvent ourselves and project ourselves in all these different fantasies, and everything is kind of getting more and more bitty and fragmented, and you have to somehow try and hold it all together and hold your whole being together in some way. And I think the fantasy or the sort of narcissism of going, I need to be famous, I need to be, you know, sort of creating some kind of overriding narrative of success to somehow pull it all together, because it's so hard to just live, to just meet someone and just find a job that makes you enough money to keep going. So the characters in the film for me are people who are just still trying to piece together this very fragmented life into something that they can understand, and they do it through their art or their search for fame. But it fails, it doesn't work, because it just keeps breaking up on them. So in that sense, it's a social comment because there's nothing else for them to do. Because if Ed doesn't become famous, who will he become, you know? And maybe 30 years ago, he didn't need to be famous. Maybe 30 years ago, he could have had a job somewhere and got married and be happy and be fine. But now, if he doesn't, how is he going to survive? You either go up or you go down, you know? And I think that's kind of what happens to the character in the film. It's what happens to me in my life, you know? I think it's happening to all of us.
Kids, they get older and older these days. Older and older, younger and younger.
But the world has moved again since then.